Christine Pitawanich with your weekly recap, where we catch you up on some of the biggest stories of the week. That includes the growing frustration over the discovery of tens of millions of dollars in unspent housing money. Plus, a big week for local Olympians going for gold in the Winter Olympics. And how one local school brought students' art to life. But our top story of the week, the growing frustration directed at Portland city leaders over the more than $100 million found unspent sitting in the Housing Bureau. This, as the latest data shows, 17,000 people are homeless in Multnomah County alone. This week, City Administrator Raymond Lee said the city is looking to hire an outside firm to investigate how every city bureau manages its money. There's no timeline for when that will happen. We spoke to two men, though, trying to find their way out of homelessness. They say more government help would go a long way.
Best Multnomah County will give us is a single-man tent and a sleeping bag. Tell us to go sleep on the streets.
Because every time I go back there and talk to the case manager, I just feel like that they're not really doing their job. I just feel like that I'm not really getting helped.
As for the unspent housing money, the city says it needs to be budgeted before it can go out, and some of it can only be used for certain things. We're told around $20 million could be used to help people pay rent. City Council is considering two pieces of legislation to do that, but it could take months to go through the city's budget process. And on Friday, Salem police announced this man, 62-year-old Daniel Ray Myers, was arrested in California. He's accused of stabbing a woman after trying to sexually assault her while they were making DoorDash deliveries. The woman told police she and Myers were making food deliveries together in West Salem on Tuesday when Myers reportedly drove them to a secluded spot and began making unwanted advances. She says Myers tried to sexually assault her before he stabbed her multiple times. Then, when she tried to run, he trapped her in the car. Police say she eventually escaped.
She was able to actually convince him to take her to the Walgreens so she could get some first aid supplies. And when she got out of the vehicle, she reported what had happened to the business there.
Salem police sent a release to other agencies, and police across Oregon and California reported seeing Myers' car headed toward Bakersfield. Investigators say the woman's injuries were not life-threatening, and she's now out of the hospital. In Washington, a woman was arrested after a wild chase. Much of it was live-streamed. Let's go! The Thurston County Sheriff says this all kicked off a police chase after the driver blew through a stop sign. Investigators say the woman streamed the whole thing live on Facebook. We've blurred it because she has not been formally charged with a crime.
Nearly T-boned a vehicle that had the right-of-way, and then in blowing that stop sign, they were going too fast, so they went into the oncoming lane of southbound Center Street and almost went head-on with another car.
And you can see some police dash cam here too. The pursuit down I-5 reached speeds of 112 miles an hour before ending with spike strips and the driver surrendering. This week in Kaiser, police investigated two shootings that happened just hours apart at a typically busy shopping center. Alma McCarty has the update.
Kaiser Station, popular and often busy with shoppers and families stopping by in and out for a bite to eat.
It's sad what it's come to here. It's usually really safe here.
But Monday night, as the parking lot cleared and businesses closed for the day, shots were fired, not once, but twice in the same area. The first shooting around 10:15 p.m.
After they came from the In-N-Out Burger, it was a family of four. Dad was driving. We had mom in the front passenger seat and two children in the back, ages 2 and 7.
The sound of gunfire catching bystanders on the bike path by surprise.
So I thought to myself, well, that must be a shooting. So I kind of hunkered behind the bushes a little bit.
That family, police say, was driving through this intersection when somebody shot out their windows. And the driver, who was the father, ended up with serious but non-life-threatening injuries, they say, to the back of his head. That second shooting just across the street at 3:15 in the morning at this Hops and Drops restaurant. Police say that a delivery driver was being menaced by a suspect, and that driver then barricaded himself inside the building.
At which point the suspect put a bunch of holes in the delivery driver's truck.
Management here tells us bullets hit the restaurant both times, but no one was hurt.
Here to replace some glass. board it up until we come back and fix it.
At this time, Kaiser PD does not believe that these two events are connected. Investigators arrested a 42-year-old transient man named Keith Winans for the delivery truck shooting. They're still working to track down the suspects in the first shooting.
This is Kaiser Station. This is a business complex where you have lots of families going in and out of. It's very unusual. And for it to be the exact same location, only 5 hours apart, is just kind of odd.
In Kaiser, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Our local Olympians continue to shine on the world stage. On Friday, 17-year-old Portland native Alessandro Barbieri chased gold in the men's halfpipe event. It was pretty stiff competition. Barbieri ended with 75 points. He had a solid first run that put him in 5th place, but fell during his second and third runs. He finished in 10th. Japan took home gold and bronze, with Australia holding on to silver. Now, Barbieri is a Portland native, as you might recall, but his family is originally from Milan. Snowboarders we spoke with on Mount Hood thought it was pretty incredible he trained for the Olympics right here.
I'm stoked because I ski the same things here, and the fact that he's out over there doing something that I wish I could, it's amazing. I'm stoked to watch it on TV.
Yeah, skier weighing in there. And it was one last ride for Portland's Jackie Wiles in what has been the best Olympics for her. In her third and final event of the 2026 Winter Games, Wiles competed in what is likely the last Olympic race of her career. She finished 13th in the Super G, but did clock the fastest time for Team USA at 1 minute, 25.40 seconds. That is 2 seconds behind the top time. Wiles won bronze in the combined and got a 4th place finish in downhill. Here's what she told us before her trip to Cortina.
I started skiing at 2, started racing at 5, and now I'm 33. This is going to be, I think, my 13th or 14th year on the ski team, my 4th Olympic team. So I feel extremely fortunate that I'm still doing it and that I've gotten to explore the world ski racing with my friends. I'm in a place where I think I'm ready for the next chapter too, but I'm also trying to absorb every day.
Very cool. And did you know, like Barbieri, Wiles built her skills on Mount Hood as well. Her former teammate, Casey Barone, says Wiles has always been full of energy. And at one of Barone's childhood Olympic-themed birthday parties, Wiles sang the national anthem. Take a look. She's the one in the middle.
We had skeleton on skateboards in my driveway, ski racing around cones with poles and rollerblades, and just different events. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Oh, so fun to see Wiles as a kid. Okay, let's talk about the guy known as the Quad God. Figure skater Ilya Malinin is spinning up support for a local ice rink slated for demolition. Malinin shared a social media post from the Save Lloyd Ice Coalition asking for support to save the ice rink at the Lloyd Center before the mall is torn down. Catherine Cook spoke with those trying to save a piece of Portland history and their skating home.
At Portland City Hall, an early Valentine's Day present for Mayor Keith Wilson. This group of young figure skaters delivered Valentines expressing their love for the Lloyd Center ice rink. The rink and the mall are slated for demolition.
So we want to give these to the mayor to hope that it will give a good impression to help save our ice rink at Lloyd Center Mall.
Oh, thank you.
The rink has provided such a wonderful family of skaters, and they care for each other.
Skaters of all ages have enjoyed the Lloyd Ice Rink since it opened in 1960. But times have changed, and the mall's legacy is set to end by the end of this year. But skaters like 9-year-old Alice Robinson aren't going down without a fight.
This is my life.
She wants developers to know how she feels about Portland's last ice rink.
If you were to assume that it doesn't matter as much, then you might actually be breaking some people's hearts, and I'd definitely be one of them.
And the sound of breaking hearts traveled to Milan. That's where U.S. figure skating superstar Ilya Malinin shared this post supporting the Save Lloyd Ice Coalition.
Everybody went crazy because this was something that we hoped for. We hoped that those high-profile skaters would take an interest in our little rink, and wow, he showed up for us, especially in the middle of competition. That was amazing.
Alice's mom, Jenny Gilmore Robinson, says she understands change is inevitable, but this, she fears, is a piece of the community they'll never get back. It's why she hopes Mayor Wilson will pause the city's approval process over development plans.
I know we can come to a compromise if they'll open themselves up to talking with us.
Urban Renaissance Group, which owns the Lloyd Center, shared this statement with us. We appreciate the skating community that uses the Lloyd Center ice rink, but the mall today is no longer economically stable, which sadly includes the operation and maintenance of the rink. Our future vision includes seasonal outdoor skating that we hope one day a new generation of Portlanders can enjoy. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
All those young people making their voices heard. Well, this week, Oregon lawmakers debated a bill that would fund a major renovation of the Moda Center, something Rip City's upcoming new owners have asked for. Senate Bill 1501 would create a framework for shared ownership of the arena between the state and the city of Portland, with funding for renovations tied to taxes on players, performers, and nearby businesses. The city would also plan to make a hefty investment, including $120 million, which the mayor says will be over a 20-year period, all for the renovations as well as operating expenses. Some, like Stephen Wright with Tax Fairness Oregon, opposed the bill, saying taxpayers are footing the bill.
The risk of losing the Blazers far outweighs the cost it's going to take to just bring this stadium up to state-of-the-art fashion.
Thus, Oregonians, especially the poor, will be paying for what should otherwise be the owner's financial responsibility.
The NBA commissioner has made it clear Moda needs to be upgraded or replaced. Next up, a work session on the bill sometime next week.
They called the code blue, and I heard my sister's name, and kind of my world stopped, and I just started crying.
Concern and confusion this week for the family of a sophomore and cheerleader at George Fox University, now in the hospital and recovering from a potentially life-threatening condition. This all started last Friday when Jacqueline McGuire was diagnosed with a skin abscess. The next day, everything changed. Her family says the 20-year-old was rushed to the ER, and within hours, her heart stopped. Doctors resuscitated her, and McGuire went through multiple surgeries. Her family says before this, she was a competitive cheerleader with a healthy lifestyle. Now, her sister says McGuire appears to be showing some small improvements.
She was like nodding her head and giving me little smirks when I'd tell her jokes and stuff, so it was nice to see her be able to understand what we were saying. I think that's what we're all waiting on. It's just we want to hear her talk and laugh and just be here with us.
Doctors now blame a combination of the skin abscess along with undiagnosed type 1 diabetes. The family has started a GoFundMe to raise money for medical bills and her recovery. We'll have a link to that on KGW.com. In an update, after some 110 years in business, Southeast Portland's Sheridan Fruit Company is closing. Last month, we reported the market was thinking about shutting down due to a drop in foot traffic and a loss in revenue as produce orders from local restaurants dried up. The owners told us then that they were hoping to hold on, but then announced Thursday that they would close their doors on Friday for good. To Kelso now in Southwest Washington, where first grade students experienced quite the transformation as their art projects became reality. Devin Haskins has the story.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, are we ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
At Wallace Elementary in Kelso,
Let's do our sounds.
teacher Ashley Lowry is a bit of a magician today,
Cage. Pull it apart. Get ready.
transforming these young minds
Good job, friends.
into tomorrow's leaders.
I always just have my theme be establish a love of learning. B.
Lines become letters,
Let me see those letters.
which sounded together form words. All this learning before morning recess.
Eyes forward. Voices off. Walking feet.
And as they play outside, they don't realize inside is when all the magic today really happens.
like this. Me and Micah. Jeffrey.
Before winter break, Ashley's Aunt Amy had an idea.
What if we created our own hats?
So I had seen the idea and thought, in the middle of winter, it'd be a great project.
The kids colored their own hat ideas, solid colored stripes. That was just a simple art project to the students.
I definitely saw kids who were like really excited about patterns. So you'll see kids that had like a nice repeating pattern.
But behind the scenes, Amy had a plan all along. Take those coloring sheets and sew together each hat just as the kids had drawn them.
I guess I didn't realize 22 hats was going to take as long as it did, but we managed.
With recess over, it was time for the big reveal.
Who remembers doing these? Raise your hand if you remember doing them.
After reading a book called Extra Yarn, Mrs. Lowry had a surprise.
Go to your desk and sit down. I might do a little magic in here.
And like any good magician, she never reveals the trick, keeping the magic alive for the students in her class.
Let's say magic, magic. Drum roll. Open your drawers.
One by one, they opened their drawers to reveal their art project brought to life.
Red, orange, yellow, green, and purple.
Colors they chose for each stripe.
Because those are my favorite colors in the world.
And what was in their imagination,
It's white because I kind of like white and it's my favorite color.
now in their hands.
Yellow, purple, red, purple, red, orange.
And on their heads.
I was just thrilled that everybody was so excited and it looked like they're really going to enjoy the efforts.
There was a bit of magic today at Wallace Elementary, except there were no tricks, just a treat for everyone.
Hello.
They love accessories, so I'm really excited to see these hats bouncing around. I think they'll love it and just that pride, and it's something that they made.
In Kelso, Washington, Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay, we are channeling spring with this next story. We now know the official rose of this year's Portland Rose Festival. It's called As You Wish. Chosen for its beauty, resilience, and romantic charm, the rose features fragrant clusters of double blooms in warm coral and buttercup tones. You can pick up a bush at Portland Nursery, and part of the proceeds will go to the Rose Foundation, which organizes the festival. So beautiful. That festival, by the way, kicks off May 22nd. And check this out, a pilot giving a thumbs up from the wreckage of his plane stuck in a tree some 50 feet up. That's after a crash landing seconds after takeoff Wednesday afternoon on the coast near Waldport. We spoke with the pilot's friend who saw the crash. He said it happened fast, with a gust of wind catching the plane at the end of the runway.
He did the run-up taxi down to the end of the runway and took off, and a gust of wind caught him and call it a takeoff departure stall. He kind of went over, stalled off to the right, and ended up in the trees. Just thankful that he's walked away from it once we got him out of the tree.
Yeah, glad he's okay, that's for sure. He was helped out within a couple hours and did not need to go to the hospital. The FAA and NTSB are investigating. And that's a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Christine Pitawanich. You can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel.